व्यवस्था का कालखंड हो। कोई एक देश बिना झिझक को अगर हिंदुस्तान के साथ खड़ा रहा तो उस देश का नाम है रशिया।
First of all, let me say that the relations between Russia and India are consistently developing in all the areas, and the main guarantor for that is the policy led by Prime Minister Modi. His Excellency is one of the politicians of the global scale that I was talking about previously, without giving the names. I cannot imagine His Excellency Modi getting intimidated or being forced to take any steps or actions that would go against the national interests of India and the people of India. And there is pressure against him, I am aware of that.
When the world cornered Russia over the Ukraine invasion and Moscow needed to survive economically, New Delhi, while condemning war, bought oil from them as it was cheap and suited Indian interest. Despite worldwide criticism, India stood its ground.
It is our duty to the Indian people that we go out in the world and get oil at the lowest price so that the interests of the Indian people are protected. So when people ask me this question, I tell them very honestly, I don't go out to buy Russian oil. I go out to buy the cheapest oil I can find, which may or may not happen to be Russian at that point of time.
Deputy National Security Advisor was just in India recently in the last few weeks, conveying clearly what the consequences of violating sanctions would be and what the mechanisms are, and also making clear that that we do not think India should accelerate or increase imports of Russian energy and other commodities, even as obviously those decisions are made by individual countries, and also making clear that we stand ready to support India as in any efforts to diversify its imports and serve as a reliable supplier, even as they're only importing about 1 to 2% of their oil from India.
In a decade of Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister, he and Russian President Vladimir Putin have met each other 16 times. The total trade volume between the two have grown over the years as a testimony from more than $10,110 million in 2019-20 to more than $65,692 million in the last fiscal, despite dipping to $8,000 million in the pandemic year of 2020-21. Russia's share in India's crude imports soared to 19.1% in fiscal year 2022-23. In fact, India's crude imports from Russia jumped 14 times in the same fiscal year, rising to $31.02 billion from just $2.2 billion in the previous year of 2021-22.
Something has happened this time. I cannot tell you. The whole Russia is talking about is more exciting. You can say everybody is excited. Everybody knows about this thing. Russian media has been covering it very positively, and it's again the proud moment for the Russians because Prime Minister is coming for the first bilateral visit after his third time coming to the power.
Narendra Modi's first visit as the Prime Minister of India to St. Petersburg way back in 2017 was an emotional one. He remembered his visit to the Russian city as the Gujarat Chief Minister in 2001. St. Petersburg Declaration of 2017 became the benchmark of stability in a turbulent, interdependent and interconnected world. 2 years later, in Modi 2.0, the Indian Prime Minister was at Vladivostok and participated in the 5th Eastern Economic Forum as the chief guest. Both leaders noted progressive development of the special and privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin came calling in December of 2021. The two leaders gave impetus for sustained progress in the special and privileged strategic partnership between both countries despite the challenges posed by the COVID pandemic. Within months of this meeting, Russia invaded Ukraine and the war still continues. But it did not impact the relations India and Russia have built over decades. Neither did it impact the bonhomie enjoyed by the two leaders. In September 2022, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Samarkand, Uzbekistan on the sidelines of the 22nd meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to discuss important issues of bilateral cooperation as well as regional and global issues of interest like the global food security, energy security and availability of fertilizers. Prime Minister Modi made 4 visits to Russia during his first term and only 1 in the second term. In the third term, he kicked off his foreign bilateral talks with a visit to Russia, indicating a deeper tie to look forward to in Modi 3.0.